In a peaceful suburban neighborhood of Tokyo, Nobita grows up surrounded by failures that repeat themselves every single day. That quiet repetition causes his life to drift forward without ever leaving a meaningful mark behind. However, what Nobita does not realize is that those small failures are slowly accumulating into a dark future. That future does not affect him alone, but extends its consequences across many generations to come. As a result, in the 22nd century, Nobita's descendants continue living under the heavy burden of debt. Sawashi, a distant descendant of Nobita, is forced to confront his family's history through cold, unforgiving data. While reviewing those records, Sawashi realizes every misfortune began with a single source of weakness. Overwhelmed by guilt, he feels compelled to change the cause itself rather than endure the consequences any longer. After long deliberation, Sawashi decides to intervene directly in the past, using advanced time technology. To carry out this plan, he selects a special robot designed to accompany and guide children. Doraemon, the blue robotic cat, is not a warrior, but a guide for human emotions. Within his round body lies future technology, combined with a rare ability to understand human hearts. As the time machine activates, Doraemon understands this mission will allow no turning back. Space twists, time bends, and Doraemon is pulled away from his own century. The destination is not a dangerous battlefield, but the familiar small bedroom of Nobita. At that moment, Nobita is still sleeping, completely unaware that a life-changing event approaches. That very calmness gives the coming moment the power to change everything. When the desk drawer begins to shake softly, Nobita's familiar reality starts to crack. From within, Doraemon emerges, carrying a future Nobita has never imagined. And from that instant onward, the once fixed flow of time begins to drift from its original path. That deviation quickly spreads as Nobita wakes up and faces the strange being emerging from his desk drawer. At first, panic overwhelms his mind as every familiar rule of reality suddenly collapses. However, Doraemon remains calm, slowly connecting Nobita's present to a dark and unforgiving future. Through projected images, Nobita witnesses his life spiraling downward for the very first time. The small failures of today are magnified into a chain of losses stretching across many decades. The clearer it becomes, the more Nobita realizes that future was created by no one but himself. This realization transforms his initial fear into a heavy, inescapable sense of guilt. Doraemon explains that every act of avoidance quietly reinforces that cruel timeline. Thus, the future does not arrive suddenly, but is built day by day through repeated habits. Hearing this, Nobita begins to understand his laziness is no longer a purely personal matter. A crushing weight of responsibility falls upon him, far beyond the thoughts of a child. Doraemon insists he did not come to punish, but to prevent that future from ever happening.
I know you're worried,
Even
Nobita,
so, Nobita immediately resists, knowing that change means abandoning his familiar safe zone. In his mind, avoidance still feels far more comfortable than facing prolonged and painful effort. Doraemon does not force him, but patiently reveals truths that cannot be denied. Time continues flowing normally outside, yet inside the room, history begins to shift direction. This moment of confrontation creates the first fragile opening for genuine change. Doraemon understands that initial awakening always comes with fear and intense resistance. Nobita sits silently, thinking seriously for the first time about today's consequences. From that silence, a long and difficult journey slowly begins to take shape. From the journey just beginning, Doraemon starts introducing extraordinary gadgets brought back from the future. Each item he reveals carries an unspoken reminder that power always comes paired with responsibility. Yet before Nobita's eyes, wonder quickly overwhelms warnings that still feel distant and abstract. As the bamboo copter spins above his head, dreams of escaping failure surge forward with sudden force. Rising into the sky, Nobita tastes freedom, briefly forgetting the heavy weight of tomorrow. But it is that very moment that makes Doraemon realize temptation is more dangerous than any disaster. For if miracles become habit, effort slowly disappears without leaving a trace behind. Doraemon chooses silent observation, allowing Nobita to feel the emptiness after short-lived joy. When he returns to the ground, familiar reality still waits, with homework unfinished and fear intact. Disappointment sets in, and Nobita understands for the first time that miracles cannot erase consequences. From that awareness, excitement gradually gives way to a confusion difficult to name. Doraemon explains that each act of avoidance pulls the timeline closer to its former path. Hearing this, Nobita begins to realize the future cannot be changed with a single flight. Unease creeps in, slowly replacing the happiness he felt moments earlier. The gadgets no longer feel purely fascinating, but instead carry the weight of choice. Doraemon knows this lesson must come through experience, not spoken instruction alone. Therefore, the robotic cat does not take the miracle away, allowing consequences to speak. In that silence, Nobita faces a fear he can no longer escape. That fear opens the first fragile door toward genuine growth. And from this moment onward, the journey of change enters a far more difficult stage. Entering a new phase, Nobita is forced to face everyday life without running away anymore. Each morning at school now becomes a test of the fragile determination just beginning to form. Although failure still appears, Nobita no longer gives up from the very first moment. That brief hesitation creates difference, drawing Doraemon's attention to each subtle change. Those fragile differences quietly begin influencing the flow of time itself. Nobita tries studying longer, even as exhaustion quickly pulls him back toward old habits. In moments like these, Doraemon chooses silence, allowing Nobita to face his own choices. When the urge to quit appears, visions of a collapsed future return with sharp clarity. Because of that, Nobita stops not from bravery, but from fear of losing everything. That pause, though brief, is enough to change the outcome of that day. Doraemon realizes real progress often comes from decisions nearly invisible to others. Time continues moving forward, yet within Nobita, awareness slowly begins to shift. Failures now bring not only pain, but also clear lessons left behind. Nobita starts searching for the cause of mistakes, instead of simply crying like before. This change in perspective gently pushes the future away from its original course. Doraemon understands his role is shifting from intervention toward patient companionship. Between them, a quiet bond forms, built through days that are anything but easy. Still, the road ahead remains long, filled with countless temptations waiting silently. because a few efforts alone cannot erase habits
mistake number
formed
3.
across many years.
If I apply the theorem
And
here,
that truth
yes, that makes
signals
sense.
that the
Now
challenges
for the next
ahead will only grow more severe. As the days continue to pass, patience becomes the greatest challenge Nobita must face at this stage. Because his efforts increase while results remain unseen, fragile belief begins to waver slowly. The gap between effort and reward creates pressure, quietly eroding his youthful determination. Doraemon realizes this phase is no less dangerous than the days Nobita once completely gave up. If hope collapses, every small change made before will be erased without mercy. For that reason, Doraemon restrains himself from intervening, allowing Nobita to endure prolonged disappointment. Evenings grow heavy as exhaustion piles up while schoolwork shows little sign of progress. Nobita begins to doubt whether effort truly has the power to change the future he witnessed. That question repeats endlessly, testing the resolve that has only just begun to form. Doraemon stays quietly beside him, knowing this moment marks a critical turning point. If Nobita survives this stage, true growth will finally begin to take root. Otherwise, a single surrender would be enough to drag time back onto its former path. Many times, Nobita nearly stops trying, yet visions of a ruined future continue holding him back. That fear slowly transforms into a weak but genuine source of motivation. Doraemon realizes negative emotions, when guided properly, can become powerful fuel. From that point forward, their relationship moves beyond the limits of its original mission. They are no longer merely the one correcting mistakes and the one who made them. Instead, they become two individuals sharing responsibility for an unfinished future. That companionship prevents Nobita from feeling alone beneath the pressure of change. And because of it, the difficult journey continues, unbroken, despite its growing weight. From that steady companionship, Nobita's inner world slowly opens to deeper and more unsettling questions. He begins observing himself more carefully, realizing how deeply his habit of avoidance has taken root. Each time he faces failure, Nobita clearly feels the prolonged struggle unfolding within him. That inner conflict causes the process of growth to move slowly, yet remain undeniably genuine. Doraemon understands that at this stage, any unnecessary intervention could shatter the fragile progress. Therefore, the robotic cat chooses silence, allowing Nobita to listen to his own inner voice. Quiet evenings become a space for dialogue between memory, fear, and fragile hope. Nobita gradually realizes he does not hate effort itself, but fears the disappointment that follows trying. That realization leads him to accept pain as an inevitable part of meaningful change. Each time he endures a little more, a small sense of confidence quietly takes shape. Doraemon observes these subtle shifts, recognizing that temporal data is becoming more stable. The future timeline no longer fluctuates violently, instead adjusting slowly to new choices. Nobita still fails, yet shame no longer completely drowns his will to continue. Instead, he begins asking himself what he might do differently next time. That question marks a crucial turning point in his understanding of personal responsibility. Doraemon realizes the original mission is transforming into a genuine, lasting bond. Between them, trust forms without promises or imposed commands. Time continues to flow, but the pressure of the future no longer suffocates the present. Nobita starts viewing tomorrow as an open possibility rather than a looming threat. From that moment, the journey of change approaches its first fragile point of balance. From that fragile point of balance, the timeline begins stabilizing around a newly formed rhythm of life. The violent fluctuations fade away, giving space to slow but persistent change. Nobita has not become exceptional, yet he maintains steady effort day after day. That quiet consistency lays the foundation the future had long been missing. Doraemon feels the weight of his mission lighten as the timeline gradually steadies. Even so, the robotic cat understands this stability remains extremely fragile. A single moment of surrender could still drag the future back onto its ruthless path. Therefore, Doraemon continues accompanying Nobita silently, neither imposing control nor offering indulgence. That choice helps Nobita realize responsibility truly belongs to himself alone. And from that moment onward, the boy begins rewriting the future through effort.